Welcome to the Get Organized HQ podcast. I'm your host, Tasha Lawrence. Every week, we share practical strategies for less stress and more peace as we dive into all topics life and home organization. I'm so glad you're here for this week's episode. Well, today we are kicking off a little summer series here for the Get Organized HQ podcast. So I kind of want to give you a bit of a roadmap, a vision for where we're heading so you can know what to expect in the coming weeks. So back up with me to probably 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even further back than that. I don't know how many of you listening remember back when Get Organized HQ was actually called I Heart Planners. That was the name of the business. It is the same business. We just rebranded. Um, we kind of realized that we talk about a lot more than planners around here, right? We actually probably talk about home and space organization more than we talk about time management and planning, even though there is a Get Organized HQ planner. And so I am trying to remember, was it in 2021, I think, that we rebranded and decided to go all in on Get Organized HQ. But even before that, we had this mini course, and it was something you could get via email, and it was called Get Organized Once and for All. And it's really about what to do once you have done the work of organizing. Now, here is the interesting thing about the term organizing. I'm curious when I say, do you want to get organized? Or I'm going to help you get organized. What is it that you're envisioning? Just think about that for a second. Like, get that mental picture in your head. I'm going to guess that some of you are picturing a pantry with decanted food and those clear acrylic bins and labels on all of the bins. And it's all like nice and neatly stacked, and you can see everything. Some of you are probably envisioning maybe your kitchen or your living space with no clutter on the counters. And so clear countertops, there's not piles of papers, and that's organized, right? Some of you are probably envisioning getting up in the morning, getting ready for work, and not having to hunt for your keys, knowing exactly where your keys and your purse and the laptop you need to take to work and all of those things are. Some of you might envision a sink that doesn't have dirty dishes in it when you go to bed at night. Some of you might be envisioning a stress-free dinner time where it's time to make dinner. You know exactly what you're going to make. You have all of the ingredients, and it is just a really peaceful time of day. What's interesting is that there are a lot of different ideas and different ways that organization kind of fits into our lives. And I've often described it by saying that there is two categories of organization. So sometimes when people say something about getting organized, they mean space organization. So that is more that first mental picture I was describing, where you have the matching bins, the labels, everything's put in the bins, and that is space organization. But honestly, more than only our spaces need organized. Certainly, our spaces need organized, and there's lots to be said about decluttering and choosing the right organizing bins and all of that. However, so many times our time needs organized. Our meal plan needs organized. Our finances need organized. Even sometimes things like our goals need organized or at least broken down so that we can make progress on them. And so that is the side of organization that I refer to as life organization. It's not just your spaces. Sometimes that's organizing things that really live inside your head. And so this series, Get Organized Once and for All, it's really about helping you maintain all of those aspects of organization. So the principles that we're going to talk about throughout these series, yes, they are things that will help you maintain a really nicely organized pantry or a really beautifully cute labeled toy room with the little pictures on the bins for all of the different toys. Like, these principles are going to help you there. However, I would almost argue they're going to help you even more when it comes to some of that life organization for the systems that you are implementing. Whether we're talking about spaces, or systems. The truth is that you have done the work to get organized. You've done the work to set something up and put something in motion, and you want to make it last. You want your work to be worth something. You didn't go through all the work of decluttering that closet and reorganizing it just for it to fill up with stuff that is not serving you in the future. You didn't sit down and come up with a whole meal planning system just to get into the middle of next month and have no idea what you're cooking for dinner once again. And let me tell you something about me. I am pretty good at blitzing. I really enjoy tackling a project. And so if there's something that I can kind of sink my hands into, I can get ready and I can do it in one go, even if it takes me a few hours, like sign me up. I am all for that. But I am not always so good at the follow through. So I would be the person who can declutter an entire closet. I can create a meal planning system. I can come up with a 10-step morning routine. But the secret sauce to those things is getting up every morning and doing the morning routine, or every week going back to the meal planning system that you created and actually using it. For me, the real kicker, it's making the dinner that I planned when I planned it. It's not throwing the system out the window when I'm 3 days in. And that is where I struggle. And so this series is all about helping you with the follow through so that we don't just have that initial burst of energy that puts something in motion, but we have something that is going to hopefully last long term. Now, a couple of caveats. Just because an organization system or an organized space lasts long term does not mean it is always going to look and function exactly as it does right now. I think that's important to remember that our systems and our spaces, they're going to morph and change as our season of life shifts and changes. Okay. So it is okay if 6 months from now, your finance management system, your meal planning system, your daily planning system looks different than it does right now because maybe things have changed in your life. The other thing I will say is that there is no magic fix, right? So there is nothing that I can tell you that you'll be like, I have absolutely never heard that before. Like that's completely new. Nobody's ever dreamed that up. And if I just do this one thing one time, I will never have problems again. Unfortunately, it really does come down to some of the basic nuts and bolts that probably are already swirling around in your mind. And they're not necessarily flashy or exciting things, but they are the things that are going to work. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, it's great that you're going to talk about how to maintain an organized space or how to maintain an organized system, but I don't have those in place. The good news is these principles can help you even if you're just starting out on your journey. So even if you're looking around your home and you're thinking, wow, there's a lot of clutter. I would not call this organized at all. Or, oh man, I have no idea what we're having for dinner tonight. I'm actually listening to this as I run to the store to grab a rotisserie chicken, right? Like I've done that for sure. Okay. So even if you don't feel like you're already organized or that you already have systems in place, give this series a try. Okay. Give it a listen. Tune in again next week when we dive into the first principle, because no matter where you're starting from, these are principles you can start applying. And if you focus on the maintenance of your space, that is something that you can build on and continue to maintain. Okay. So I want to make sure that you join me again next week because we are going to be talking about the number one thing that you can do to make maintaining your systems, maintaining your organized space easier. Okay. That's what we're going to be tackling next week. I've got 5 different principles that we're going to be covering over the next 5 weeks. So today, this was kind of just vision casting for where we're going. I wanted to give you the heads up, but then be sure you tune in the next several weeks because we're going to be working through several different principles and I don't want you to miss any of them. But I do want to leave you with a practical action step that you can take today, okay? So you don't have to wait till next week to get started. I want you to look around at your space and I want you to come up with 1 to 3 things that you can do today to set yourself up for success tomorrow. So Maybe that is loading the dishwasher. Maybe that is taking all of the coffee mugs from your desk and taking them to the sink. I can totally be guilty of getting a small collection of dishes and things all around my desk. Okay, but look around your space, see what you can do to help yourself for tomorrow and take that action today. It doesn't have to be something that takes a long time or that is hard, but do a thing or two to set yourself up for success tomorrow. And I will see you next week for the first part of our Get Organized Once and For All series.